Welcome everyone to the November 10th regular council meeting of Monterey Salinas Transit. And this is an in-person meeting with remote participation via Zoom. And although it's offered but not required for the meeting to proceed. And if we do have any technical difficulties, the meeting will MST will try and resolve any difficulties as soon as possible, but the meeting will proceed. Members of the public attending are we'll have public comment on items on the agenda, and at that time the chair will open up the comments to you. With that, I will move on, and I will call this meeting to order. The time is 10:01, and I'll ask Jeanette to call roll call, please.
Okay, City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Delray Oaks.
Here.
City of Gonzales.
Here.
City of Greenfield.
Here.
City of Katy. City of Marina.
Here.
City of Monterey. City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of San Cities.
Here.
City of Salinas.
Here.
City of Seaside.
Here.
City of Soledad.
Here.
County of Monterey.
I am present today on Zoom per the Just Cause exemption for illness. And there is nobody else present with me here from where I'm joining the Zoom meeting on.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Madam Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, I would like to ask Lisbeth if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please say with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And with that, we'll move on to item 1.3, review of highlights on the agenda. Carl Sadora.
Thank you, Chair. On your agenda, among the usual consent items, we just have the usual consent items. There is a resolution, though, for us to recognize Assemblymember Dawn Addis for her work in support and getting an eventual governor's signature on AB 761. And Assemblymember Addis will be joining us via Zoom for us to provide recognition. Elsewhere on the agenda under action items, we will be approving a strategic plan and supporting action plan. We have a transit first policy for you to receive and provide feedback to staff. We have a authorization for the sale of property to the city of Seaside, a small parcel on former Fort Ord, which we have previously discussed. And there's an incentive pay item for the general manager and CEO. We do have a closed session conference with real property negotiators for some properties in the city of Salinas. And that concludes my review of the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. So at this time, anyone here may address the board on any matter in the jurisdiction of MST and any item that is not on the agenda. So if there's anything you would like to come up and have comment, if you could please state your name, and you have 3 minutes for your comments. Thank you.
I won't take all 3 minutes. I just wanted to say hello. My name's W.C. Peel. I'm with Transdev. You all saw me probably a few months ago when we were getting things ready for the transition. So I'm our Senior Vice President of Business Development. I'm just here to answer any questions the board might have. We're about 6 months into the new contract, working together to make sure things smooth out after our transition. And I'm here to answer any questions should you have any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome. And public comment is still open. Good morning.
Well, good morning. Emily Paz. I live out in City Salinas, and I'm a regular rides. I use the rides bus, and I'm just here to talk about a couple of issues. But first, I hope you had a good Halloween, and if you were kicking pumpkins down the street, I hope you weren't caught. So, um, I just wanted to. I come across other riders and found out they had the same experience that I had. I was coming back, and the driver went through Marina, which was no different. Right at Davis. I only live I'm Blanco and Davis. I live just almost like right there. And he did a left-hand turn, goes down Davis. He said, well, I have to pick up somebody else right here. And I'm like, well, fine, because I know there's people that live in that particular neighborhood that get picked up. But no, we go all the way across town to Natividad. And I said, you really should have dropped me off because with all the traffic, we picked up someone there that was going to Greenfield, and had he dropped me off, um, he would have been able to take the freeway to get this person home a lot sooner than having to drive 20 minutes across town and then at least another 10 minutes. But to get to the freeway, that added on, so my trip was probably about at least an hour and a half. And if any of you have ridden the bus, and I think you should, an hour and a half is really hard on your back because you're bouncing around like a rubber ball. Because just the way those buses are, any bump, boom. And I really thought I thought the driver should have had better common sense. I've seen other drivers do the same thing because they try to keep in mind with the riders to try to make the riders more comfortable and not as take so long. And that is one of the reasons why you may not get the ridership you expect because people, they don't want to put up with that. They rather just sit at home and watch TV or stare at a wall. And I was angry enough that I talked to the supervisor when I got home, who happened to be Kip. And I told him, I said, these people, if you're going to do that, they need more training. And sure enough, the next day, I get picked up by the same driver. And I had spoken to, again, the same supervisor, Kip. I said, I need to go to the Carmel Foundation in a timely manner because I do a lot over there. There's a lot of classes. I also volunteer over there. And he goes, oh, well, there's only one other person we're going to pick up. And I was an 8:30 pickup. The other person I found out was getting picked up at 9:30. And he saw that. He had the schedule in front of him. And I was not happy with being treated like that. I told him, I left him a message and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I said, that was uncalled for. I consider that unprofessional. You knew I was going, I had to be there in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Is that by 3 minutes?
Thank you for your
Okay.
comment.
But other than that, the other drivers, wonderful.
Thank you.
And we have, as you said, WC Phil from TransDev is here at my request because of some of the comments we've been receiving of late. So hopefully our speaker can speak directly to WC, and he'll be visiting the Salinas facility today to oversee what's going on.
Okay, great. Thank you. And public comment is still open? And I do not see any hands via Zoom or anyone in the conference room standing up. So I'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. And thank you for your comments. With that, we'll go ahead and move over to the consent agenda. And these items will be approved with a single motion. Anyone may request an item be discussed and considered separately. So at this time, directors, have you reviewed the minutes of November 10th and the rest of the consent agenda? And are there any corrections or questions at this time? And seeing none.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have an approval in a second. I will open this up to public comment. Public comment is open. And not seeing any public comment, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We have a motion in a second. I will call for a roll call vote. due to we have one director via Zoom. So Jeanette, if you-
City of Carmel by the Sea,
Yes.
City of Delray Oaks.
Yes.
City of Gonzales.
Yes.
City of Greenfield.
Yes.
City of Marina,
Yes.
City of Pacific Grove,
Here. Yes.
City of San City,
Yes.
City of Salinas,
Yes.
City of Seaside,
Yes.
City of Soledad,
Yes.
and County of Monterey.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passed.
Okay, thank
11-0.
Thank you. And with that, we will move on to recognitions and special presentations.
We don't see Assemblymember Addis yet on
Okay.
the screen, so if we could move
So-
to the next item,
Oh.
when she gets here.
Shall we go ahead and go to the November 2025 Employee of the Month with Grace Ibarra, coach operator, and I believe Marcette will give us a little presentation. And she is here in person, yes.
Yes, we have Grace here today. Morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Marzette Henderson. I'm the Transportation Manager here at MST, and with me, we have Grace Ibarra, our Employee of the Month, who's being recognized as our Employee of the Month for November 2025. Grace has served with MST as a professional coach operator for nearly 4 years now. Been a coach operator since January 2022, so your anniversary is coming up. Yep. In your nearly 4 years with us, in her nearly 4 years with us, Grace has consistently demonstrated exceptional customer service and has been a standout member of our team. Back in early September, while boarding passengers at Salinas Transit Center, Grace noticed the tense exchange developing between passengers off board the bus, or a couple of individuals off the bus, with a group of passengers that were already on board. Grace acted quickly and calmly to prevent the off-board individuals from boarding the bus and further escalating the situation, allowing enough time for our supervisors and security team to intervene and assist with further de-escalating on the ground. While supervisors and security stepped in to help control the situation off the bus, Grace maintained the calm and composed presence on board, helping to ease tensions among the passengers and avoid what could have been a very serious incident. Grace's actions that day reflect the commitment to safety of our passengers and our community, and serves as an example of professionalism for all our MST coach operators and employees. Thank you, Grace, for your outstanding performance and being an example of excellence in public service. Please join me in congratulating Grace Ibarra on being Employee of the Month for November 2025.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh. Okay, thank you very much for the award. It feels really nice to be recognized. And I hope I continue to do more for MST as a coach operator. I do really enjoy it. So look forward to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. People generally don't come into careers for transit operators to be public speakers, right? But in public, our transit operators oftentimes have to act with grace under pressure. You have increasing amounts of violence occurring on our buses, near our bus stops, and unfortunately, it puts our drivers and all of our employees, customer service people, utilities who may be doing bus changeouts in harm's way. And that is why we partnered together this year with the ATU on AB 394 that substantially increases penalties against violence against all transit workers. But I really want to thank our staff and our training and resources and Grace for trying to de-escalate these situations before they turn into a violent situation. And what you experienced here today and what we're honoring today is Grace's ability to do just that. So thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you. I
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we'd like you to provide you with your pin for Employee of the Month
Thank you.
and your resolution plaque. And I'm hoping, since I don't see it here, I hope you got your check already. If not, We're in between payroll clerks, so we'll get what Hector's still here. Okay, we'll get you your check because I don't see it here today, but I know we're doing some cross training. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you very
Alrighty.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Picture, yeah, picture. Thank you. I got to know I'm not seeing this back.
I do the 23.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay, so.
Well, thank you for being there.
Sorry, I don't.
Here? Tony had something to take care of, and so. I'll rearrange my schedule. And I'll go. Simple. Yeah. Yeah, nice to see you guys.
And
Yeah, she's on. Yeah.
okay, we have our special guest online in Zoom, Assemblymember Addis. So if we can move to our next item.
Yes. And officially, we'll move on to item 4.1 to recognize we have appreciation of Assembly Member Dawn Addis for her support in Assembly Bill AB 761. And with that, she is here. Good morning, Dawn. How are you?
Good morning. It's wonderful to be with everyone. I wish I was there in person.
I will. If you want to move to page 29, you can read the resolution while I get the volume.
Okay, let's see, is this on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay. So as this is a resolution for Assembly Member Dawn Addis for Resolution 2026-08 in appreciation for support of MST, whereas Dawn Addis was elected to represent the California 29th Assembly District on November 8th, 2022, and is one of Monterey Salinas Transit's representatives in the California State Assembly, and whereas during her tenure within the California legislature, Dawn Addis has consistently supported legislation and funding initiatives that enhance and improve access to public transit, including support of the SURF, busway and bus rapid transit, the extension of the state's cap and trade funding program, and the expenditure of greenhouse gas reduction funds for the benefit of transit. And whereas Dawn Addis authorized AB 761 on behalf of Monterey Salinas Transit, which passed the Assembly and State and was signed by the governor on October 13th, 2026, allowing the Monterey Salinas Transit District to submit to the voters a ballot measure to extend the existing Measure Q local state tax beyond its current expiration date of March 2030. And whereas AB 761 allows MST to modestly increase the existing sales tax rate or place an additional local revenue measure on the ballot for voter consideration in the future to fund additional transit programs and projects. And whereas AB 761 greatly reduces the administrative burden required to place a local revenue measure on future ballots, saving the district valuable time and money. And whereas Dawn Addis has made a substantial and lasting contribution to the improvement of public transportation throughout Monterey County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors expresses its sincerest appreciation to Dawn Addis for her endeavors to promote healthy, sustainable public mobility alternatives to the communities of the Monterey County and throughout the state of California. The Board of Directors of Monterey Salinas Transit passed and adopted this resolution 2025-08 this 10th day of November 2025. And so it is our honor to present you with this resolution and on behalf of the whole Board of Directors of Monterey Salinas Transit. So thank you.
Well, the honor is really mine, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of the directors, Marianne, the chair, Lorraine, vice chair. You could not have a better advocate than Carl. The number of times that we were in direct communication, so I really want to say thank you, and to Lisa, your deputy CEO. This was really a team effort to get this done, and you know, there's a lot of folks out there that criticize taxes, but to me, this effort is really about putting power in the hands of the people. When you say that we're going to let the voters decide, this is really what the best of democracy is putting things in the hands of the people and making it easier to do that, while also supporting and celebrating the people that we were all elected and appointed to serve, which is the people of Monterey County and those most in need of transportation, whether it's seniors or people with disabilities or people who rely on public transportation. So I really want to say thank you to all of you for centering all of your work on your community and the community of Monterey County, and your foresight and your fortitude in bringing this legislation forward. We got it across the line. And so we are looking forward to what you do as a next step. And I've been honored to be part of it.
Well, thank you. And I believe our general manager, Carl, is going to find a way to get this here resolution out to you.
Right here.
And there it is.
Wonderful. We can't wait. We can't wait to be, usually we're the ones giving those out, and we get to smile when we walk into people's offices, places of business, and see that they've earned a resolution from the state assembly. It's always warms my heart to see it when we do it for others. And this will actually be one of the first resolutions given to us that we'll be able to walk into our own office and see. So I very much appreciate the recognition, and on behalf of our staff across the district, really want to appreciate and say thank you for recognizing us. It is a rare thing in politics right now when we get to recognize one another and celebrate one another. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Assembly Member and your staff. Our administration committee met prior to this meeting, and we had updates on federal and state legislative advocates, and seeing what the funding situation is at the state and federal level for the next several years. Now more than ever is it going to be more important for us to have the tools that you've provided us to ask the community about whether we can raise local funds to support these important programs, because the alternatives will harm those who most depend on mobility to meet their daily needs. So this gives us the opportunity to ask, and we'll be doing next steps. We'll start polling to see if 26 is the right time to ask, or 28. So we have two bites at this apple, and it's great that we have the ability to get you, by getting this done this term quickly, we got that second bite. So we can perhaps earn something in 26. If not, we have the ability to learn and come back in 28 for another bite at it. So thank you so much.
So Carl, sorry to interrupt. I was just I was hoping I could grab a quick screen capture for our social media page. Would it be possible to have everyone in person maybe just look at the camera so I could take a screen capture?
Camera's up here.
Yeah.
And would you like me to get back with other
Yes.
folks so my giant head's not
And maybe those on Zoom
Do you
who
want
would
to
like to be
stand
on.
here?
Sure.
And we could maybe
All right,
hold up.
and I'll do a quick countdown. All righty.
Okay.
3. Carl, can you just go down just a little bit so the camera doesn't cut you? There you go. 3,
Oh, Carl.
2, 1. Okay, great. Thank you.
That is a first for me. I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And moving along, we'll move on to item 6. This is action items, and the first one is item 6.1, and this is located on page 41 in your agenda. And this is consideration to adopt 2026/2030 strategic plan and approve for year 2025-2026 action plan. And with this, Carl will give us a staff report.
Yeah, your board has been through a multi-month process of developing a strategic plan. We had a facilitated session, two facilitated sessions earlier this year. Your board came back last month with a draft strategic plan that your board had little comments on, had some questions that we clarified at the meeting. And with that information, we then took that plan to adopt a strategic plan to develop an actual action plan for the current 2-year budget process. So in this package, we're seeking you to adopt the strategic plan and approve the supporting action plan that will drive our future budget activities and staff programs in support of these plans.
Okay, thank you, Carl. So at this time, directors, do you have any questions or comments? I'm not seeing any online and not seeing any hand raised, so we'll go ahead and take this out to public comment. I will open this up to public comment, and with that, you have, if you could state your name, and you have 3 minutes for comments. And if you're participating by Zoom, if you could please raise the hand icon, and the city clerk will let you know when it's time to comment. So with that, public comment is open.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl Wilson. I'm an MST writer. And the reason I'm here today is because I have concerns about the change from one company to another in regards to how we get our rides, how we call in and request them, and how in this system, the way it is working is you are not always able to get what you ask for. Apparently things are run in blocks of time so that if someone calls before you, they get a certain block and you're not able to get that one. So yes.
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
All right, as long as.
I'm okay.
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 So I guess I need some assistance in how I can best possibly schedule my time on the bus so that I can get it to be approximately when I need it. So when I'm going to the doctor, I'm getting there on time. And when I'm going to another place, I'm actually able to get there and not have to wait. I had a situation last weekend on a Sunday where they told me I would not be picked up until 8 o'clock.
Okay, okay.
I have never, ever had to wait till 8 o'clock to get picked up. I went to a store, Walmart, and I usually have a time of 5:30 when I get picked up. But they said, no, there's no bus scheduled for you till 8 o'clock. So I'm concerned about that I had no knowledge it was going to do that. They were going to do that. And that apparently that block was set aside for me. That I just can't even begin to understand that. So I would appreciate any comments or information on how I can resolve this particular issue in regards to setting my rights. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Ms. Wilson. And we do have with us W.C. Fields with Transdev here in the room with you. So if we could connect or with staff, that would be great. And this is we're hearing concerns. So thank you.
And this comment, I think, speaks to our goal number 2 in the strategic plan, providing safe, sustainable, high-value transit and mobility services for the communities we serve. So it's absolutely appropriate for us to have a comment from the public on that particular matter. So thank you for the comment. And as mentioned, WC is here. He can speak specifically to you, and he's a person that can actually communicate that directly to the Salinas office, and will continue to make improvements.
Thank you. And public comment is still open. And I do not see anyone else in the council in the chambers. No one online. So with that, I will go ahead and close public comment. And I will bring it back to the directors. So there is through further discussion and comments and directions, I'm looking for a recommendation, and that is the recommendation is actually on page 41. And the recommendation is to adopt FY 2026-2030 strategic plan and approve fiscal year
So-
26-27 action plan. And with
Okay.
that, I'm looking for a motion.
A motion that.
Okay, well, Joe, and we have a second, Mr. Director Pacheco. And with that, I will ask Jeanette to call roll call vote, please.
City of Carmel by the Sea,
Yes.
City of Delray Oaks,
Yes.
City of Gonzales.
Yes.
City of Greenfield,
Yes.
City of King is absent, City of Marina,
Yes.
City of Monterey is absent, City of Pacific Grove,
Yes.
City of San City,
Yes.
City of Salinas,
Yes.
City of Seaside.
Yes.
City of Soledad.
Yes.
County of Monterey.
Aye.
So the motion passed with 11 and 0 with 2 absent.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. With that, we'll move on to the next item, 6.2, action item 6.2, page 121 in your agenda. And this is transit first policy, and Lisa will give us a presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Lisa Reinheimer, Deputy CEO for MST. And I'll be doing the presentation, although this has been a collective effort by your executive team in reviewing the transit first policy that's attached. So we do have our planning staff here and safety staff to provide more context if there are some detailed questions that you have. But what we're trying to do here is to raise the profile of transit needs within our communities when they're considering development projects, when they're considering streets and roads projects and other policies and programs which involve public transportation. Next slide, please. So what do we do at MST? I wanted to provide the mission, vision, and values of MST to tie it back into what we are as an organization. So our mission is advocating and delivering quality public transportation as a leader within our community and within our industry. And in this context, I highlight as a leader within our community. Our vision, why do we exist? Connecting communities, creating opportunity, being kind to our planet. This all ties into all of those things. And our values and what we deeply believe in are safety, friendliness, dependability, diversity, and achievement. And in the context of the Transit First policy template, we're looking at safety in caring for all that we do, including how we operate within the cities and the county, and also providing dependable transportation, earning the trust of our community and our passengers every day. Next slide, please. So what I'd like to do is go over the problems that we're currently seeing, providing a solution in a transit first policy template, our recommendation for you today, and potential next steps. Next slide. So the first problem that we're seeing out there within the communities and within the jurisdictions is that there are complete streets, road diets, active transportation, safe routes to schools projects, traffic calming projects that encourage narrow lanes for the general traveling public. 9 or 10 feet, this helps to slow down traffic, and if there's a pedestrian or a cyclist with speeds going slower, they're more likely to have minor injuries versus major injuries. So it's a lofty goal to get traffic to slow down in that context. But for MST's designing for transit guidelines, which say that if only 10-foot lanes are provided, a transit bus must encroach on other lanes, which increases the risk of collision. Therefore, on streets where transit is operating, a minimum lane width of 11 foot is required, even at low operating speeds. And so you can see the conflict here with trying to narrow down streets and MST trying to operate service within the local jurisdictions. Next slide. So our typical bus widths are 10 feet plus 6 or 7 inches with the mirrors. These bus widths are not going to reduce anytime soon. With the Americans with Disabilities Act, we are required to have wheelchair accessible buses, and we need the space to be able to deploy that lift and get people on board our buses. So we can't narrow down the width of our buses. We have heard that comment in passing from others say, well, just make the buses narrower. We are not able to do that. Next slide, please. So this is an example from a project we're working on where there was a lane narrowing. And this was in particular was 9 feet, and this is a more egregious problem. So you can see the bus on the left, and then, you know, maybe it's a fire truck, maybe it's a larger vehicle delivering goods, you know, UPS truck or whatever. And you can see the conflict there with our bus and everything else that's going on in the street environment. And to make matters worse, in 2021, the 3-Foot First Safety Act prohibits motor vehicles from overtaking or passing bicycles with a clearance of less than 3 feet. So if you have a 5-foot bike lane, a narrow 9 or 10-foot travel lane, it's nearly impossible for MST's buses to stay within that lane. We just haven't been able to solve the physics problem yet. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to pick on Seaside for a second, but this is not necessarily a Seaside only problem. So, Mr. Pacheco, don't take this as an offense. Concrete center medians can help prevent MST buses from entering into or going through a transit corridor. And in the case of San Pablo and Seaside, the lanes were narrowed down to 10 feet, 5 inches for the most part. And then, although MST isn't necessarily traveling along that street, we do on occasion have detours where we need to use San Pablo. So it makes it very difficult for MST to use San Pablo as a detour, given the constraints of that narrow width because of that center median that was put there. And we, of course, attempt to communicate this issue with all of the jurisdictions that we work with. And sometimes there are just conflicting other priorities where we just don't get there. Next slide. And then in the case of pedestrian bulb outs, this is another case where city planners are trying to create a street environment that prioritizes people and bicyclists, but has the negative effect of designing MST into safety situations. So for example, if there is a bus going sort of north up that diagram and trying to go east or right, what they'll have to do is cross over into the other lane in order to be able to not hit that curb or that bulb out. So these are the general problems that we're having with street design and the conflicts that can happen with what is seen as road diets and pedestrian scale and what have you. So next slide. The other thing that we're having a challenge with is late engagement with MST. And that means that we're not having that meaningful dialogue with the cities and the county staff to be able to incorporate MST designs into these projects. We actually now have staff that actively monitor all of your city council agendas, your traffic commissions, your planning departments, commissions, whatever the case may be. We're actively going through your agendas to see how what you are doing impacts what we do as an organization. But oftentimes at that point, it's a little late in the game. So we need to have better engagement with your staff to incorporate and provide the services that we need to. Next slide. And this is a lot, there are a lot of problems here, but this is the last problem I'll highlight. Well, I'm following the slide, but there are opportunities to make some corrections here. So with complete streets, safe routes to schools, active transportation, road diets, and what have you, transit is the safest form of surface transportation. And so if you're not designing in transit in your safe routes to schools or your complete streets or any of the other sort of buzzwords that we're working with today, you're not planning for safety. So here's where our opportunity comes in. Next slide. So keep in mind, MST has no land use authority. So we are asking for, early engagement, early opportunity for MST to be at the table instead of, an afterthought and a blessing. We do get requests for letters of support from the departments on some of the projects that they're working on. Oftentimes it's big picture and doesn't get into the nitty-gritty detail of these lanes and curbs and bulb outs and what have you. So we want to make sure that we're early on in the process. So what I put together and the team put together for you is a transit first policy template. And so what we tried to do is make it so that your city planning staff or county planning staff can use that as a guideline for incorporating transit first as a matter of policy. And what this would mean is that we would be early on in the engagement process. And there would be policy direction from your cities and county in terms of getting us at the table early on. So what we want to make sure is that we're providing safety for our riders, cyclists, pedestrians, other motorists in our transit environment. We want to increase ridership. We always talk about that. So that's a given. Reduce vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions. And then, of course, that early engagement. But I did want to mention that not all streets and roads would be subject to a transit first policy. I live in a cul-de-sac. It would be completely inappropriate to have huge wide lanes in my cul-de-sac because it's not a transit corridor. So what we tried to focus in on are those high quality transit corridors, those major arterials, major collectors, those places that MST is A, already operating on, and B, some of the major streets that MST could detour on in case of urgency. So with that, our recommendation is to provide us some comments if you have them. And then we would pass this transit first policy template on to the cities and county. We could, at your direction, present this to the TMC Technical Advisory Committee that's made up of public works directors, a very appropriate place to advocate for public transit, TMC Board of Directors, and then also pass it on and potentially present to your cities and to the county on what we'd like to see in terms of this opportunity to raise the profile of MST and transit needs within the community. So hopefully I've answered most of your questions that you had prior to, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have now. And we have the rest of the executive team here available to further elaborate on some of the items that I've already talked about.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for your report. and presentation. And at this time, I'll go to directors if you have questions or comments. And I'll start over here with Director Pacheco.
And this is definitely not concerning San Pablo, but a lot of cities, I would assume, do bulb outs or bike lanes because of the demand and for safety, for resident needs, and often residents strongly, I know San Pablo took 20 years to move that forward, bad or good. And, what weight does this have? I mean, let's say we approve this, and we all bless it, and is it just a nice piece of paper and say, let's be nice to each other, or is it, and I'm not saying a little sarcastic, but.
No, that's totally fine. You're right, in the sense that from an MST perspective, we would provide it to the cities in the county, urge their support, and then they would take that template and insert their particulars. And so the policy weight is really borne by the local jurisdictions in terms of how they would implement it, or if they would implement it. Again, MST has no land use authority. And so that's the frustrating part for our staff in providing comments. Hey, listen, 10-foot lanes isn't going to work for us. And we'll say that, and then 10-foot lanes gets built. And so it effectively designs us out of transit corridors, or designs us out of the street and road environment.
I can maybe add a little bit to this as far as the what's the stick? The carrot is providing better access to transit. This policy doesn't provide any sticks. However, if your board, I think your board already has tacitly given us approval for this because your board promotes safety above all else. So with that, I have already been in discussions with the California Transportation Commission, who approves funding for many of these types of programs, and asking them that when these programs are considered for a grant application, the submitting city has to provide a very minimal, maybe a 10% design vision document. And we are seeking within the regulations or guidelines adopted by these funding agencies to require that the transit operator has in fact seen, has viewed and approved these plans as submitted before they're considered for funding. And we would also be moving forward with Todd Muck and the TAMC staff with the allocation of Measure X funds, that any Measure X funded project needs to show that they're not taking transit out or making transit less convenient or less safe for that. So those are options where regional or state funding agencies could adopt this type of language to say, well, if you're not going to, if this just becomes a nice piece of paper for your city and your planners ignore it, well, you may not get funding from the state or from TAMC for your project.
And I agree. Just two other questions, I guess, might be. So often, at least for us, we hire consultants that are professional consultants.
Right.
They do the groundwork to make sure all the pretty language is in there, to make sure that the bike lanes are in there and the bulbs out or whatever it be. So we're spending anywhere from $20,000 to $200,000 for this consultant to do this pretty paperwork and diagrams and meet with their neighborhoods and all that stuff. So I guess I'm asking is, and then you find out about late note, which is not your issue. But then to go back and reinvent the wheel, sometimes challenging. And I also know that often, at least for the city of Seaside, staff comes and goes. And it's just the reality of life. They move on, they quit, or whatever it be. So paperwork gets lost and then you have to reinvent the wheel. Is there a plan where, I'm making this up, once a quarter that you meet with the city manager or that department, so therefore whoever that leadership is because paperwork is kind of like making a master plan. If you don't open the master plan and you spend $1 million on it, it has no value. Maybe that's from my perspective, but I've seen that happen. Is there a plan to meet quarterly with that? I'm making quarterly up.
Maybe every 6 months.
Whatever it be, so that way you can have a touchy-feely moment and know what's coming down the pipe, because some of these projects, especially for us, takes years and years and years. And it's not, and by that time you could have 3 new bosses.
Not only you.
So
You
we
know.
do have the TAMC Technical Advisory Committee is a body of the local public works directors who meet, that MST has a seat at the table. It's just some of these things just don't come up.
Yeah.
We're not made aware of it
Exactly.
at that point. Michelle had a comment to make. She was almost jumping out of her seat.
I don't mean to be negative.
No, absolutely. No,
Really?
I have an example for you, but go ahead, Michelle.
Good morning, board members. Michelle Overmeyer. I'm the Director of Planning and Innovation. As staff, we have been asking staff at each of your cities if we can participate in any internal development review committees that you have. We'd like to see the projects at the same time that the fire department and the police department have the opportunity to review those plans. So at this point, Monterey is the only city that has invited us to participate in those early reviews. And then I think there's also an opportunity maybe for a non-voting seat at your transportation commissions. So those entities meet regularly, and those are ways that MST can be involved.
So, for example, we have a city, not Seaside, that has a project, and on that street, we identified, MST has 110 trips per day on that street. We are by far the single largest user of that street, more than the fire department, more than the police department, because if you had 110 police and fire trips a day, there's a real problem. More than UPS, more than FedEx. And yet plans have been put forward that make the lanes too narrow for us to safely use. They are using the same consultant team that MST uses. You talk about consulting, but just different consultants. They're under the same company, but a different group, and they're just the consultants aren't talking to each other. And we didn't find out about this. It was actually Caltrans brought it to our attention that there were 2 projects going on in this one city that might be at conflict. And we held a meeting, and lo and behold, it was. And I immediately said, well, who are their consultants? And then it came back to me, it's the same as our consultants, just a different team. So very frustrating using consultants like that. We need to, we need to have a seat at the table. As the saying says, as we're getting near to Thanksgiving, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And unfortunately, we're on the menu with the width of the lanes, right? That's being negotiated away because we don't have a seat at the table. So we really need to get support from your cities to direct staff to make certain that we ask politely and where we can be ignored or nothing happens. So we would encourage our board members who represent your jurisdictions to provide some direction to make sure that MST is at the table.
I think it's good. Just my last comment. I'm sure TAMC is a wonderful organization and they do good things, but they're so large sometimes.
Yep.
That the little means that, street get pairs, maybe meeting once every 6 months or reaching out or a commitment to do that where you can, when you look somebody in the eyes, sometimes it has a better.
Absolutely.
Has a better communication style. And I don't know if we can, I'll suggest that today, I'll do this, but I mean, the city manager, but I can't force his hand nor any other city council person.
We took him out on a bus ride not too long ago, and he saw how well transit is used in your community, so.
Totally good with that.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay, next I have Fernando Cabrera.
Yeah, thank you. I think that I will suggest first to include those pages, those slides with the problems, because that paint a different view for us that we're reading. When I was reading this and when I heard about the the need for that, for including the opinion of MST, I was wondering, on that line that says transit first policy, it make me feel like you guys want to tell us what to do in our cities. So that was my first reaction. Then I started reading more, and I was still a little confused, but what you're saying is correct. One of my complaints in our city is that how come they didn't see this before? How come they build this? Like that's why our city only has 2 exits, and there is no room for us to grow, because we didn't take the time to consult or to request advice from other organizations. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us, because we have two plans for 2 streets where our circulation bus goes. So there is a possible construction that is going to happen on West Street from Gavilan to Front Street, and then another another project in Orca from Cornell to Gavilan as well. And that is going to narrow a little bit the street. And I'm wondering how that is going to affect our circulation bus and the people that take the bus. And when you bring that the problem into our cities and say, look, this is the problem that you're going to have, then we can visualize better. And I think that we should, along with that, with a policy with a template, the slice with the problems that could happen will be definitely something that can I don't want to say educate, but inform our city so that they are aware that we need a little bit more of information. Because we had some situation with the bus stops and one of our business owners.
Yes,
In
familiar.
that. So there is a lot more to work on, and it is that's not what I thought before, but it is a wonderful idea to include MST in planning before correcting.
So we're open to, whether it's a one-on-one meeting with the city manager or the public works director, or coming to your council and making a very similar presentation. And you tell us how you want us to do it, because when you've seen one city, you've seen one city. And I know I go to all your cities and I know you're all very different from one another. It's just not South County, and it's not just the peninsula. You all do things a little bit differently that works best for your communities. So you tell us what's going to work best for you, and we'll respond.
From my perspective, I think at least in our case, it will be better if you guys do a presentation to the planning and the city manager, so that they are aware of it, and
you can reach out to me separately or to Jeanette. We don't have to go do a roll call on how each of you at this meeting right now, but just reach out to us and let us know. I heard what you want.
Yeah, we have, I have a list, so next we'll go to Director Emilio.
Thank you. So before I say anything, Lisa, thank you for the presentation, appreciate it. This is not to adopt this policy, is it?
It's a
What we want, sorry, I'm gonna go to my slide here.
I have a couple of other questions, but go ahead.
Review, provide comments and direction.
What do you want us to do with it? Do you want us to move forward with it?
Yes.
Bring it back for adoption or something else?
Well, I have to ditto with Tony, and you said that I think there's a lot of things in motion as a city council. We get after effect, and I know there's been some issues through our public works and MST. That was maybe about a year ago or less than that, dealing with I think it was similar to this. So I would have the trouble to I don't want to be suddenly come up and say I want to support MST. There's no doubt about it. But I don't want it to come up to me and suddenly say, well, your board of directors approved this, so we should be doing this with our cities. And some of the comments made, some of those streets and those bulb outs, especially with our downtown in Pacific Grove, all those bulb outs going out. And there's a couple of more bulb outs coming out, which we approved on the council, a couple of businesses down. So I'm going to be hesitant about doing something with this because I don't want it to come back to haunt Pacific Grove, where they'll say suddenly, well, your representative on an MST from Pacific Grove approved this, and then I'm going to get heat from the city manager and the public works department and all the others. And to me, this should be started with TAMC. That I was only an alternate to TAMC, but I've been to one meeting there recently. I think TAMC probably would be the first line of defense because we're working on, for example, a huge roundabout program near, you're probably familiar with it, near Pacific Grove High School. There's like 5 intersections. We're going to do a roundabout there that's been approved by the city council. And I couldn't even tell you if a bus is going to turn around in there. I have no clue. But we did approve the roundabout, and TAMC is putting some money towards that roundabout. It's not coming from the general fund. So, but again, I have a problem that this might come back to haunt. In other words, if the public works director comes to me or the city manager suddenly says, hey, what's at this MSC? What'd you approve, Joe? And that's my hesitation to it. And I ditto with everybody else what they said.
May I provide some response to that? And I appreciate the comments. I completely understand where you're coming from.
And I'm not mad at you.
No. I get that. No. Totally respectful. The policy here is more of a guidance. Have MST come and talk about your projects. And to your point, a lot of projects are very specific and detailed when it comes to the right-of-way space limitations. It can be very specific in terms of what can be done and what can't be done. And there are these trade-offs, obviously, with every single project that I've ever worked on as to whether you prioritize one thing or another thing. So the policy is intended to be more of this is what we'd like to be able to do given the constraints that we have. It's not going to be every single street it's like I said, the cul-de-sacs, let's not even worry about that. And then for each of the particulars, we have to look at the details because what's the old adage? The devil is in the details. So we just want to be at the table and say and provide, what our needs are.
The other thing I was going to mention was, as we're talking here, we also have a traffic commission that's promoting safe streets. We're working on that right now. The bicycle lanes we're working on, they're promoting that. Of course, they make recommendations to the city council, and then we give it our Espiritu Santo, not to say anything about religion, but our blessing. There's a lot of stuff that comes to us as a city council that suddenly either the assistant city manager is promoting it through Public Works, and we, if everything works okay and we have the budget for it, we approve it. So it's kind of hard to. Again, I heard this before. TAMC might be the route to go on because each city has a representative on TAMC, and to let them hear that. And we don't have a couple of people here already, and I'm not faulting anybody like Mike or Ed Smith to hear your comments too. So that's just my comment right now. I'm thinking of MST, but I'm also I'm also have my City of Pacific Grove hat on also.
Thank you, Joe.
Oh,
Carlos?
yeah, just another lens to look at this through is one of risk management and liability. We're operating in an environment that's designed for transit that gets changed and moves from a more safe to a less safe environment over the objections of MST staff, over our designing for transit guidelines, over our suggested policy languages. Your city may be putting yourself at risk. Again, transit is the safest form of surface transportation. It is safer than bicycles, it's safer than pedestrian travel, it's safer than automobile travel. So that is a risk that your cities will have to weigh when we come to you with suggestions for a safer alternatives, and those safer alternatives are designed out. And who's to say where that ends up landing? It's just something for you all to consider.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Carl. I was just gonna say, in regards to risk management, we get this all the time from
Right.
city attorneys.
Right.
Okay, so.
And I'm not a city attorney.
Yeah.
But I've seen them on TV.
Yeah, but that's why they get paid big bucks, right? So, in regards to risk management, that's another avenue to look at our city attorneys and have a discussion with them and see where legally where this all falls.
Thank you, Joe. Gloria, we'll go first to Lorraine and then Gloria.
Mine's just a quick. Okay, just quickly, I wanted to say that we all have projects in our cities. We currently have a large project that's coming in, a housing project in our city. And one of the things that I said to them was they needed to think about the transportation with MST, because it's going to be over 2,500 new houses into that project. Fano is one of the largest areas that the buses will be going up and down, and hopefully we'll be opening up another area. I think at least this is how I took it, was that any upcoming projects that are coming into your cities, you might want to think about MST as you are making these plans, and just have a discussion with your planning department. That's how I took it when I looked it over, but everybody's different and everybody has different projects. Some are already in existence. In our city, we are looking at MST because we know how many people in our city use public transportation. So that's just another area that I looked at. I don't know if you guys thought about that, but it's something maybe you want to think about just for the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. And Gloria?
Yes,
I'm
going to agree with you because yes, we have future projects coming up, especially the Veranda area, the future growth area. And I'm very concerned that this board, if they're not having that communication with you, wait a minute. This is the future public transit and we have to make it safe and we have to have you in that table. Yeah, but I would start to educate the city council because we have a lot of new members. And if you go and make a presentation, just like you did here, I could tell you one of those bowl outs that I want to take out, Market Street and Tout in front of Fremont School. That is horrible the way they did that bowl out. Horrible. I don't know who can go through there, And another area is further down the street on Market Street. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, yeah, nobody communicated. And we need to do a better job at that. But I would start with city council and present and educate us.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. And Director Lisbeth.
Yes, thank you. I'll try to be brief. I wrote down some things. I can't believe this policy isn't in place yet. Just tell people if a road is narrower than 11 foot, you cannot have bus service, not with the big buses. Let planners drive a bus, not just sit on it, but steer it around the bull out. Let me see here. Oh, the diagram in the packets, the problem number 1 for any of the cities. The bike lane positioned in between parked cars and buses and cars going traffic it's better to move your bike lane next to the pedestrians in my country. They started doing that quite a while ago, and it seems that some of the funding we will not even get anymore if we don't position the bicycles with the pedestrians. Much safer, but that's a side message. Oh, I did have a question about the smaller buses, you know, the rides, how that will work. Can they handle the bulk outs? Probably.
They're the
They're
same-
just as
they have
wide
the
as
same
they
width.
width, so
Yeah.
even in my car, I need to go into.
Kelly Halkin has because she handles the training and risk management, she's
Yes.
jumping in her chair to respond.
Hi, good morning. Kelly Halkin, Chief Human Resources Officer. When we are looking at routing, one of the things that planning does is they have my staff go out with a bus, a mini bus, cutaway bus, as well as a regular size bus. The width of a cutaway or our mini buses is the same width as our current buses. So it's not necessarily the length that's the issue, it's the width. And I just want to clarify, bulb outs aren't necessarily always the issue that we have. I want to point to in City of Salinas, West Alisal, and Salinas Street. Those were our first bulb outs that we dealt with design-wise. We were able to train specifically on how to maneuver our buses around a bulb out. Where bulb outs sometimes come into play is that they can potentially narrow the street in an intersection. And so it forces the cars to group closer together as they're trying to maneuver through an intersection. Not necessarily going around them, but you have to keep in mind that the bulb outs actually put your traffic closer together and sometimes encroach on one another.
Thank you. And okay, roundabouts, many roundabouts exist with bus traffic all over the world, so that should be possible.
Lots in Marina, right?
Yeah, lots. And for MST, I will contact Carl to see if, like, we have the traffic advisory committee. Do you want to have a seat on that, or is it enough for you to participate as public that you can just zoom in? Because it's not always bus related, but it's good to always watch it because they go all over the place like I do. And let's see. Okay, the small boss. Risk management. Attorneys cannot change the fact that we need 11 foot of width. So, and my last comment is, please move forward with this. I like I said, I cannot believe this was not in place yet. So, yes.
To speak on the risk of the attorney, what Carl's specifically talking about, and this happened in the mid 2000s, is a case called the Bonato case, which is where there was a pedestrian who was killed crossing the street, who had exited the bus. Not only was the system held liable, but the city was as well for flaw of the design of where they placed transit in or this shelter. So that's where we would advise that you, based on your designs, can be held liable if somebody was to be hurt for those flaws in your design.
Thank you very much.
If the person was not hit by a bus, they had exited a bus and crossed the street that was designed unsafely, hit by another vehicle. It had been rear-ended by another vehicle, yet the city and the transit operator bore they paid a lot of money on that.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I have a couple of comments. So what we're doing right now is focusing and reviewing and provide directions.
Right.
And whether, how, or when to present it to our cities, right?
Correct.
So that is one thing. And I think that this policy has not been implemented because MST cannot impose something into the cities, right?
We cannot impose anything on the city.
Yeah, so that's why we're looking for collaboration.
We're looking for direction from your councils to your city staff to make transit a priority in their planning processes. And then we're looking to TAMC and even the state to say, demonstrate that transit is a priority before you provide funding for these projects.
And even in the worst case is to listening to what MSD is proposing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So now, in the event that happens, this is the first step, and do you think that we're gonna see something more concrete or less more condensed, or is that the actual proposition?
Chair has some thoughts.
Yeah, I have some thoughts, but I first would like to recognize Director Alejo. Director Alejo, I just want to make sure if you have any comments during this time, if you'd like, I wanted to recognize you up there.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Pacheco.
Just two thoughts. One. We got the first one, but the second one is, I think communication has a lot of words. Communication seems to be paperwork. It's just paperwork. Communication seems to be the answer. But would it be possible? I guess it's up to each city to do a memorandum of understanding. So that way it would have more, if it is valuable, which it may or may not be, but a memorandum of understanding between A and B would have more. And if it is a good idea, it would have more weight, would be more, it would give it more power, more influence. Is that true or not true? And I don't know. And I'm just asking versus just a nice piece of paper that.
I think an MOU has more weight than
I'm just throwing it out as
a good intention, right?
Right, that's what and this is, to me, just a nice intention that gets lost.
Okay. Thank you, Director Pacheco. I wanted to I'll make a couple comments. So we know that the narrowing of streets to 9 foot or 10 foot is we have a 10-foot 6 bus. And that can cause possible accidents and collisions down the road. So if we go with that, do something like that. Thank you to Kelly for, I had a question that was on legal or counsel about any cases, I know I'm on the serve with the county on director on the airport land use, and we look at planning within each city and airport safety. So this would be about the same thing. It's bus safety, it's running the buses. So that would be narrowing the lanes, that would be something that would go to the cities. I've already turned this paperwork, I sent it over as soon as I seen it to my city engineer and to my planner for input on this here. And I think that I've heard here that we heard about city council presentations. I think that would be excellent, because I don't think that it just goes to, your traffic commission or to your city manager. I think that it should, your whole council, this is something that's going to go through the council. I think that a presentation should be made to everyone so that they could get on board. And I think a MOU would be a good understanding, because we are a JPA. So a MOU where all the cities could, sign off on or whatever down the road here. But anyway, those are just some comments, and this is just to review the draft transit first policy and provide feedback. And I think that it would be, I don't think that we're gonna iron out anything today, because you're gonna feel, you don't want to adopt something here. I mean, we're all JPA and that, but I think we do need to bring it back to our city councils or for presentation and, come back with it at a later date. I think we put a deadline date and bring it back to another council meeting. Just, I'm hearing here the board, and that's just, just something so you feel a little bit at ease. We're not trying to do anything here today. And, this is public safety, and it's to keep transportation running. I do know that there is also, when we get grants we have the narrowing of street lanes, and, we get grants. I believe in Seaside Upper Broadway, you get grants. And so it's like, we want to look at that there too, because that's something that the city, they get money to do the project. And, it's, so. Anyways, with that, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to open it up to public comment. So public comment is open.
Chair, can I just?
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible that we can get an electronic form?
I'm gonna have this posted to the website.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. And so public comment is open at this time. And I'm not seeing anyone jumping for public comment, no one up via Zoom and no one in the conference room here, so I'll go ahead and close public comment. And there's been there's been a lot of discussion and comments, and I feel that we have MST send out an electronic form to each jurisdiction. And if you would like a presentation, I think that, I'll be presenting on it at my next meeting. I'm going to bring this before my board. And I've already run it through my city engineer and planner. But I think we need to get back some more feedback, and we need to bring it back. We'll need to bring it back to a future date. So I'm thinking I'm gonna ask Carl, because I'm not doing all those presentations.
So
When do you think?
I was looking to our agenda, where the next scheduled agenda deadline is, and it doesn't look like that date got updated because it says the next deadline is October 28th. So when is our next deadline for the next agenda? That might be a good date to peg for our, if we're going to have this on a future, if we're going to have this on the December agenda, we would need to have some feedback by.
But does that give you enough time for presentations?
That would be the end of next week.
I know.
Just because of the holiday and everything, I in my mind, I was thinking if we have till June of 26 to be able to make all the presentations to the city councils, that would be a sufficient amount of time. And we could bring it back earlier but I don't want to get, too condensed. It's hard to schedule everybody's
We've been living this long without it. It just came up. We had 3 issues come up in the past 8 weeks of this coming up. So that's why it raised to our attention. And I brought it to our National Trade Association in Boston, asked if anyone else was having issues like this in the room. And a dozen hands went up. And then I went to our state association. I had a half a dozen local cities around the state are also experiencing this. So this is kind of coalescing all around the country at the same time.
Director Shirley?
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you. I am in great support of this, and I think just increased communication is always better. I'm curious, do we have a policy, like if a lane is narrowed? I don't think our buses should be going down it. And Director Elizabeth kind of, talked about this. Like, can we just say, if you create a lane that's narrow, we won't send our bus down there because it's too risky?
Yeah, I mean, that does though create issues with your community. And then it also, with the ADA, we have to provide, when someone calls an MST rides trip, which is, those buses are just as wide as our buses, our regular buses. We gotta go, otherwise we're violating a federal law.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Kelly, for you?
I would agree with Carl on his sentiment of what he just shared. As I mentioned before, my staff goes out with a bus and we'll review if we can safely maneuver down that street. And then we provide feedback and the amount of risk of decision of going forward with that. That being said, one of the things is you have to look at those very busy streets that you have within your cities and what we're currently the service that we're providing on those streets. Those would be the first ones that that we're providing traffic or providing service on that street. You would definitely want to reach out to MST on those to make sure that we're meeting that standard. And we so that we can help at least talk about that.
We have some fairly sophisticated GIS tools at our disposal, whether they are so sophisticated that we can identify streets that are the width of streets, I don't know. And we can take a look and see if what we have to look at here, but
your point about the rides buses need to go. I'm thinking of Carlton and Delray Oaks, right? That's going to be narrowed, and I have no idea what the width of that road is going to be. But you're right. I don't think a bus is going down that road.
I'm going to guess neither do we at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless, Michelle, you've been meeting with Delray Oaks.
Yeah, no, so more
So,
communication. than ever.
Newsflash.
Yeah.
So,
And let's see. So one other thing is, so we'll actually, what a great tool, as we talked about, there was mention of the fire departments and emergency vehicles being able to go down certain streets.
Right.
I do know that when our city looks at streets, that is mandatory that you have to have that. So when it goes through planning and comes to the city council, is you have to have the width so that those vehicles could get through. So, that could be a checklist, on the planning. Does this here something that's implemented in your jurisdictions, or, that if that there meets the standards, just for that. And just one last thing is, in our city, our streets are pretty small and narrow. We don't really have a whole lot where the buses go through, but we look at the safety of pedestrians and cyclists walking, and that's the reason why we wanted to do something in our community to put a dedicated path for safety on its own, away from vehicle traffic. So because we had that commuter bike lane that comes to Sand City on Highway 1, and it dead ends, and they have to actually go through the streets, and it's unsafe. So that's another reason why we were looking at trying to dedicate a special path for people to be able to, for safety reasons. So did I open this up for public comment? We've had
did.
so much. Okay. We opened up for public comment. So I'm bringing it back to directors. So there's a staff recommendation to review the draft transit first policy and provide feedback. We've heard that, I thought a deadline date for feedback, and we hear June of 2026. And also, if you would like a presentation from MST to your jurisdiction, please contact Carl, and he will make that happen. And then also the electronic form. So, we as representatives sitting on this here board of directors, we could report that back to, but for more good or a better staff report, we could probably to hear from MST. Would be good to set a time for people to hear that out at your council meeting. So with that, do we have with all those things?
We have direction.
Do we have direction?
Yes,
Okay,
direction's been received. We're good to move on to the
Okay.
next item.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next item, 6.3, page 127. And we have the sale of excess MST property. And Lisa Reinheimer will give us a report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the rest of the board. I will be brief. Our recommendation to you today is to adopt Resolution 2609, which authorizes your general manager, CEO, to execute a purchase and sale agreement with the city of Seaside for the sale of MST-owned property, which is located at Colonel Durham and 7th Avenue in the former Fort Ord, in the amount of $270,000, and finding that the sale is exempt from the California Surplus Lands Act and also exempt from CEQA. Under the under the Surplus Lands Act, it is exempt for two reasons. One is because it's agency to agency, public to public, and also because the deed restriction in which MST got the property from the federal government only allows for transportation uses. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know we've talked about this in the past, so I will be brief.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Any questions from directors? And not seeing any, we'll open this up to public comment. Public comment is open. And I'm not seeing anyone via Zoom or in the conference room. We'll close public comment and bring it back to the directors for discussions, comments, and direction. There is a staff recommendation on page 128 to adopt the 2026-09, authorizing the resolution 2026-09, authorizing the general manager CEO to execute a purchase and sale agreement with the city of Seaside for the sale of MST owned real property located at Colonel Durham and 7th Avenue in Seaside. APN number is listed there for $270,000, and finding the sale is exempt from the California Surplus Lands Act and exempt from SECRA. So
Move to approve.
we have a motion, we have a second, roll call vote.
Yes.
All right, City of Carmel by the Sea.
Yes.
City of Delray Oaks.
Yes.
City of Gonzales.
Yes.
City of Greenfield.
Yes.
City of King is absent. City of Marina.
Yes.
City of Monterey. Absent. City of Pacific Grove.
Yes.
City of San City.
Yes.
City of Salinas.
Yes.
City of Seaside. City of Soledad.
Yes.
And County of Monterey.
Aye.
So the vote passes 11-0 with 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the next item, agenda item 6.4, and that is on page 133. This is MST. Is the subject is recommend the general manager CEO performance incentive. And I'll give a brief report. We have had met and discussed our CEO and his wonderful ratings that of work that he's done over the last year or so. And he has done just been doing remarkable work. So we have a recommendation to approve a 5.5 incentive pay for the general manager CEO. Simply put. And with that, directors, any comments?
Well deserved.
Yes, well deserved, Carl.
Thank you. I appreciate working with this board. It's a pleasure.
And we'll see if we could get you to work a little harder.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So you can look at next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Try
Looking-
not to wake me up.
Okay, looking forward to go and moving into the next year. With that, I'll go ahead and open this up for public comment. Public comment is open. And not seeing any, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And there's a recommendation on 133, and that is to.
You have.
Oh, we do. Oh, well, Director Alejo.
Yes, briefly on this item and consistent with my votes in other years, not that I don't agree that Carl is a great CEO of this organization. The difference is I just want the percentage more aligned with what we offer our employees at 3%. So I'm not going to support this year as I do every year, but only because we disagree on what that percentage should be. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you, Director Alejo. And with that, we close public comment. There was a staff recommendation on 133, and with that, to approve. We have an approval, a second, roll call vote, please.
No first and second, so Rudy first,
And
second by Fisher.
Yes.
Roll call vote. City of Carmel by the Sea.
Yes.
City of Delray Oaks.
Yes.
City of Gonzales.
Yes.
City of Greenfield.
Yes.
Is absent. City of Marina.
Yes.
City of Monterey is absent. City of Pacific Grove.
Yes.
City of San City.
yes,
City of Salinas.
Yes.
City of Seaside.
Yes.
City of Soledad.
Yes.
And County of Monterey.
Nay.
Yes?
No.
No.
Nay.
Vote is 10, 1 no, and 2 absent.
With County Monterey being the no.
No.
okay. With that, motion carries, and we'll move on to item 7.1, page 135, reports and information items, and we have the general manager CEO. monthly report?
Yes, thank you, Chair. You have your monthly report, and ridership, is in a long stretch of growth. Of importance, I think, for your board is on page 137. You have the quarterly update that we promised you for the South County fixed route circulators update, and planning staff has provided a detailed analysis of each of the cities. And the bottom line is that the circulators are being well received by the communities. Ridership is highest in Soledad, followed by Greenfield, followed by King City, and then followed by Gonzales. And there's a recommendation of perhaps a route change in Gonzales. There is a issue with the vehicle going through an industrial park area that causes that route to miss the connection to line 23. And we have little ridership, but are looking for a van pool solution for the workers in that area that would provide transportation to that industrial park for the workers, but then allow for a timed connection to the line 23, which I mentioned in our admin committee. Is a vastly growing service, so much so that we're experiencing increased amounts of overcrowding on that line 23. So, and we're looking at finding a way to get double-decker buses perhaps sooner rather than later on line 23. More to come to your board at a later date. Also of note, I think since I have the floor, I want to say that we are celebrating with our employees our nomination and winning the APTA Public Transit Operator of the Year Award Monday, right after this meeting, at our Monterey facility at one Ryan Ranch Road. We'll be celebrating, and because Transit's always carrying others, Stell's Taco, we're having a taco truck for all of our employees there Thursday at our Salinas facility. And Friday at our South County facility. Board members are welcome to attend this all, around the lunch hour between 11 and 1. You can catch us there at those facilities. On Wednesday, MST is sponsoring the Monterey County Hospitality Workers Luncheon. And that's something we're the primary sponsor of because they are our primary customer. So we think it's important for us to be there to recognize the people that we carry and the hard work that they do serving our industry. And then finally, on Thursday of this week is APTA's National Transit Career Day. And we are highlighting transit careers in mechanics at our Monterey facility. And we have 18 participants from the Mission ROP program who will be coming to our facility and learning what a day in the life of a transit bus worker is like. So it's a transit mechanic is like. So it's outreach early to get people interested in this as a potential career. That's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Board members are welcome to attend any of these events just to see what it is we're doing. So this is our first attempt at this transit career day, and just great that we've got 18 people from Mission ROP. So thanks to everyone for that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Carl. With that, we'll move to 7.2 federal legislative advocacy.
All those reports are there for you. 7.2 through the end of the 7s are there for your review. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? And not seeing any, we'll go ahead and move on to board reports, comments, and referrals. Reports on meetings attended by MST board members at MST expense. I don't think there were any yet, board member, we'll move to 8.2 board member comments and announcements from the board. Any comments or announcements?
I'll just mention at Pacific Grove Lighthouse on Tuesday, Veterans Day, we're going to have a celebration from 11 to 12, and we've got a Naval Postgraduate School doctorate who served in the Iraq War will be our guest speaker. Usually lasts about an hour, so if you're not doing anything and seeing beautiful Pacific Grove Lighthouse there, that's where it's going to be at 11 o'clock on Tuesday.
Chloe?
Yeah, Salinas, Tuesday, tomorrow, we're honoring our veterans, and we're starting out with the Garden of Memories, located on Abbott and Sanborn. And that's putting a wreath for our veterans at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then at the Veterans Memorial, we call it the Hill off of Laurel, over there where we have a shelter up there. And we're having our Vietnam Memorial Service and for all veterans at 11 o'clock. And then this year, our parade was canceled. So the city of Greenfield is hosting a Monterey County walking parade starting at 2 o'clock in Greenfield, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so all
Everyone's
veterans are invited, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. And I believe the city of the Seaside Veteran Cemetery tomorrow or on Tuesday at 10 a.m. will also be hosting a event for veterans as well.
We do have also at the Soledad Historical Society, we have a presentation, and we usually have a lot of pictures of our veterans, local veterans, and the county, and it's a really nice gathering of our veterans and the community. If you guys would like to attend, it's at 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. And with that, I'm not seeing any other board member comments or announcements. And so we'll move on to board member referrals for future agendas. And I believe that there was some direction, I believe to MST about presentations. So if any of the board members would like to reach out for a presentation regarding the
Transit first policy.
Please contact Carl. Okay. Item 9, attachments for the monthly report can be viewed online, and the next item we have will be item 10, closed session. Conference will be going into conference with real property negotiators for APN number 003-051-086 and 003-051-087 in Salinas, California, and MST negotiators is Pearl Sidoric, General Manager, CEO, and we will be meeting under negotiation price and terms. I will at this time open up public comment on this item. If anyone would like to comment, now is the time. If you could state your name, and you got 3 minutes for comments before we go into closed session. And then after closed session, we will come back to open session and report out any action taken. So at this time, public comment on closed session item. And I'm not seeing anyone in either the conference chambers or via Zoom, so I'll close public comment and we will go ahead and go into closed session.
Yeah, Luis, you may need get some further direction. I gotta check with my staff on how you get into closed session.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
So do we go in another room?
I don't know. Yeah.
I have to go.
Very
We're
good.
trying to pack. Hope we make it, but.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys.
Board meetings tend to take the time allotted to them. It's like water. Okay. Yeah, keep that for the last gets in.
In the
We've had our share of technical issues today.
Mary Ann, is that thing tomorrow at 10 or 11?
10. Well, I have it marked as 10.
I'm gonna double check, because I saw something from supervisor saying 11, so.
I think Commander Ward.
I'm gonna give him a call.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Here, I'll call him right now.
Why have it down, I was. Here, I got it.
You got him? You call him Mike?
He went away.
I'm thinking of Lego shirts.
Maybe I don't, maybe you better do it. I have it.
I only picked one here.
There you go. I think we're both going.
Got 'em?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
See who picks up first.
Exactly.
Hi, Luis. You'll see, you'll get moved in a second here.
Okay.
I know.
And they not operated with all them with, yes, it was. Yeah.
You can spread out.
Yeah.
So any update, we have to that, or do you think off the minds?
You know, Google Maps, I don't know. Do we have? Yeah, it would be the MST, right? Okay.
Waterfalls.
Sure.
Datamization.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back from closed session, and I will ask our legal counsel if he would report out for us.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So the board did meet in closed session on one item. This was a conference with real property negotiators for a parcel located at APN 003-051-086, and the other listed parcel number as well. The board did meet with Carl Stork as its lead negotiator to discuss price and terms of the potential sale. There is general discussion was had, direction was given, but there's no reportable action at this time.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
Thank you for your report, and with that, we'll move on to item 11, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and happy Veterans Day tomorrow, celebrating your veterans in your community.
We're going to have another meeting.
Good to see